All right, so a little bit of conversation about pulling exercises, and in general, just part of the way through my workout, I was just thinking about misconceptions that exist when it comes to blanket cues in exercise training. Common blanket cues involve like squatting, go all the way down, go below parallel, don't let your knees pass your toes, and different common cues like that. Point your toes forward, keep your feet shoulder width apart and no narrower, no wider, etc. The take-home point of all the stuff that I've spoken about on topics like that is the fact that they are very body type specific. It depends on the height of the individual, it depends on the length of their legs, it depends on the muscularity of the individual, and so on. It really, really is sensitive to all of those different things. And the same thing applies to lots of upper body exercises as well. So I was just doing some inverted rows and supersetting that with some presses for the chest, and I was thinking about pull downs and pull ups as my next exercise. And that got me thinking about just body type specificity when it comes to those exercises, the pull downs or pull ups, and also row variations, and how that's also sensitive to your body type. So to give you an example of what I'm talking about, we'll head over to the pull down machine. And people will always talk about going through a full range of motion when it comes to pull-ups or pull-downs, making sure that when you're doing a pull-down, the bar comes all the way down to your chest or your collarbone or whatever, or when you're doing a pull-up, that you make your way all the way up to the chest where there's a contact point. I can speak from personal experience when I say that that never ever, zero chance possible that that'll ever happen with me personally and a lot of other lifters, and that's because of the body types. First thing is skeletal frame. I've got a 37-inch sleeve when I wear a dress shirt. It's a really long sleeve in comparison to other people. So that means I've got really long arms for my body type, for my frame. I've also got a short torso. From here to there is not that long. So with that said, my lat attachment is going to be pretty high up on my arm. So when my lat fully contracts to get to its shortest point when I'm doing an exercise like a lat pull down or a pull up, there's going to be a distance between my elbow and my body. So it's going to block me from being able to get any further without really arching my back to a point where I don't want it to be arched, where I'm in an overextension or a hyperextension. So just to show you what a few reps of a regular pull down of mine would look like, and this is not specific to which width I use, but I'll just use a standard bar on the elbows of the pull down bar width. I'll sit in, I'll lean back slightly, I'll set my shoulders, and the bar finishes about maybe 4 inches away from my chest. And that's it. So with that said, it shows that my lats can't get any shorter than what I just went through. It's not an issue with regards to chest mobility or chest flexibility, sorry, or shoulder mobility, or the ability to circumduct my arm all the way around, because my mobility is actually not too bad when it comes to that. There's muscle back there, and it's not allowing me to get too far down because the muscle cannot get any shorter, and there's other stuff in the way. So there's not too much that I can do about that because my lat is in full contraction, and I've got long arms on top of it, so that's all I got. With that said, if you take into consideration the muscularity of the individual, and you take into consideration the lever length of the individual, we're going to run into that sort of problem if we don't look sharp. If you try to force it and go all the way down to force the way past, I don't even know if I can do this, but I'll try, and force that bar down to the chest like that, the only thing that's going to happen is my shoulder is going to migrate out of position. I just depressed it. It's going to slip back out of position because it's going to shift in the socket where it belongs. It's going to shift forward so that my arms kick in a little bit more, my traps begin to kick in a little bit more, and the lift shows no added value for doing that. So it's not even worth your time to do that if you're in that same predicament where your arm length or your muscularity or something like that is preventing you from going through what is said to be the full range of motion, okay? Another good example would be going through a full ATG squat where your calves or your hamstrings are too large for you to fully get your butt to touch your heels, or for your hamstrings to completely cover your calves. You know, there's going to be limiting things even if your flexibility and your mobility is great, okay? Taking that to a seated row idea, you know, if, let me just make the weight nice and light, just going to sit on the floor here and do a quick row, same idea. If you're a bigger guy and you're doing seated rows with a narrow grip like this, as you pull and you set your shoulders and so on, there's a chance, because of the internal rotation you're putting your body into, that your shoulders will slip forward no matter what you want to do about it, okay? And you're not going to get the full contraction that you want of the back unless you use a slightly wider grip in order for your elbow to pass behind your body with your shoulders staying retracted. So it's a very, very important little distinction to make when you're doing your training, especially if you're a bigger guy, especially if you're a guy with longer arms. You've got a further distance to travel with the implement. So it's just something to think about when you're doing your exercises. If you're a shorter person, it's probably not going to apply to you as readily or as much as if you're a taller person or somebody with longer limbs or just a big person in general. And so that's it.